And in Ireland, like, not to put it down or anything, because this is probably going to be me, let's be honest, there's such a culture of like mammy.
Behind every creative person or small business is a great story waiting to be told.
And we are here to tell them.
I'm Shane, aspiring author and man behind I-Endeavour.
I'm Hannah, semi-abstract artist and woman behind Sarah's Studio. And this is the
I-Endeavour Podcast.
Hi, and welcome back to the I-Endeavour Podcast. And we're on the last episode of season 1.
Yeah, it's coming so round so quickly.
High five. He's gonna have to edit that out now because it'll be too loud in the camera. But we're here today with Olly Foley, or you might know him as Sew Olly. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing? How is everybody?
Good.
Yes. Are you having a good week?
Yeah, better than I was last week. And congratulations on season 1. You must be delighted.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot more work than we thought.
Yeah. It's been very interesting though.
Especially when you have to get a toddler to bed before.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah, like anything with children, I don't have kids myself, but anything with children seems like it's 10 times harder just because you have kids. So fair play to you. And these things are a lot of work. Like I do some interviews and stuff on Instagram, just real basic Instagram lives. Oh my God, the amount of work involved in like getting that set up. Like people think you just show up and off you go, and it's definitely way more than that.
Yeah, I think people don't realise how much work goes into I didn't. Like, I came into this naive when we first planned it, and I was thinking like, oh yeah, it'd be grand to sit down, chat to someone, that'd be lovely, and just upload it. And now it's like, oh Christ.
Yeah. It takes, I'd say, 2 to 3 times the length of time of the episode to edit it properly. Like,
yeah,
it takes ages. But it's worth it.
Yeah, anyway, back to you. So why don't you tell us a bit more? You're very welcome. Tell us a bit more about yourself and what it is you do or create.
So like you said, I'm Sew Olly, so at Sew_Olly on Instagram, and I am a creative. So as you probably guessed from the name, I do a lot of sewing. So, you know, my sewing machine is like my best friend. What is it I make? I make accessories, some quilts. I make just handmade stuff, a few commissions. I'm kind of only really getting started. I'm just going into year 2 of the business now. So to start off with, I would have made like a lot of masks, eye masks, scrunchies, and now I'm starting to launch a few new products like hairbands. Kids aprons was one I launched recently, really, really popular. Because obviously people are being a bit more creative these days, particularly if they've, like with their kids, getting them painting, gardening, baking. So yeah, I got a really good response to that. I suppose I get a lot of my experience, or my mum taught me how to sew. So my mum is the Sewing Shed by Nikki on Instagram, and she owns a patchwork and quilting shop down in Kerry. And yeah, because I think you're from Kerry.
Yes. Well, I'm off to follow your mother on Instagram now.
Yeah, no, like she's been sewing for 20 plus years, and just the fact that she had a fabric shop and it was always just kind of happening in the background, I suppose that's where my love for sewing and what I'm doing now came from. And it's, I suppose, like creative ventures like run through the family. So my auntie would have had a sewing shop as well. My cousin is I don't know what you say, an influencer. She's got like she's an online crocheter. Yeah, she's an influencer for crocheting is what I would say. So she makes patterns and puts stuff out as well. So just like a creative family is what I'd say. That's where I came from, and that's kind of what gave me my creativity and a lot of my inspiration to go off and make this stuff.
Yeah, because I was really interested when I first saw you, because when I was a teenager, I was convinced that I was going to go into some sort of textile thing. Like I went to, I don't know, do you know Limerick School of Art and Design first, and like tried to do fashion. It didn't work because I wasn't like, they were like beating each other to the mark for like, you know, everything, and I just couldn't do that. I was too scared, too like squirrely in the corner. But when I saw you, I was like,
industry is a tough industry, like
really
tough.
Really tough. My cousin went into it in the end. Fair play to her, but Yeah, so when I saw your thing, I was like, oh, where did he learn that? And like, oh, I love it. And like, you don't see many guys doing it. And like, yeah. So I suppose, did you go to college to do it, or did you just like learn through your mother and take it from there, or like, how did you get into like making it your business?
So I suppose from when I was very young, maybe like 10, 11, I was always sewing with mum. And like I would have grown up in the UK. And I don't know if you know, but when you come from the UK to Ireland, you end up going back a year in terms of school. So I was in secondary school in the UK, and when we moved to Ireland, so this would have been in 2003, I ended up going back into primary school. And in the end, the school was like, look, you know, he's been into secondary school. There's no point bringing him back and doing primary school for him for a year. So why don't you homeschool him, to my mum? And I would have done a lot of sewing and just kind of creative stuff then with her, you know, like she taught me how to cook, and she taught me how to bake, and she taught me how to like use the washing machine. It was actually like, it still sticks with me, a lot of the stuff I learned then. And then my mum's business would have grown to start teaching patchwork and quilting classes. So it just started off with like a beginner's class down in the community centre once a week with like 8 people. And like that's really grown now. Like my mum brings out class schedules like each season, and only the lucky few get spaces because they just sell out like that, you know. But yeah, no, I like a lot of it would have come from just kind of watching my mum over her, and then like, oh, can I have a go? And then sure, I was off doing my own thing then. And then yeah, just before the pandemic hit, me and mum and my dad were chatting about potentially like opening another branch of mum's shop here in Galway, because their one is in Kerry, kind of copy the same business model and open it here in Galway. And we'd started looking at like premises and stuff and buying bits and pieces, so like bulking out stock and things like that so that we could support 2 stores with the stock. And then obviously the old Rona hit, and it kind of sent us a curveball. So for the first few months I was kind of sitting here and I was like, with all this fabric and all these bits and pieces, and I was like, obviously I'm not going to be opening this shop. So I started just making like face masks, and it kind of just grew legs by itself. Like it was mad. People were contacting me every single day. Do you have this color? Do you have that color? Can I buy? And it just kind of took off from there. And before I knew it, I was like selling face masks to 5 or 6 different pharmacies here in Galway, and then people further than Galway were reaching out to me and saying, look, we'd like to stock your face masks, or we'd like to stock like your eye masks, or a lot of the ones I get bulk orders for. So I don't know if you know, but when I started, I was Sew Galway was the name of the business. So it was only in February that I rebranded to Sew Olly, because by the time I'd rebranded, I had a customer in every county in Ireland. So it just made sense to maybe not make it a geo-based business, you know. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. Like I suppose I don't have any formal education, but at the same time, I've a lot of education in it from just standing and watching and being there. Like I used to make the tea and coffee for these classes that my mum was teaching. So I'd just be sitting there for 3 or 4 hours watching all these, and like you said, like not many guys, so watching all these ladies like mad sewing away, making quilts. And I suppose I just kind of picked it up as I went,
Oh, that's amazing.
It's a nice story,
and isn't it nice, like, to have those sort of life skills and stuff? Like, not enough people know things.
No.
Do you know, like, when we were younger, like, Dad would have taught me, like, you know, about, because he's a builder, about building stuff. So now when a contractor or something comes to our house, I'm like, yeah, I want that, and that, and they're like, what the hell? But, you know, like, it's different things that you pick up, like, from your family, and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sets you up for life.
Maybe Donegal will make tea for me when he's older.
No, I doubt it.
Well, my mum kind of has a rule in the house, because I'm one of 6 boys, so I'm the oldest of 6, and then we have foster kids at home as well. So I think it's once you're, I can't remember if it's 7 or 8, but once you're 7, that's it. You're doing dishes, loading the dishwasher, putting your clothes into wash, like all these things that like to build those life skills. And it's something like so important. I didn't realize kind of growing up that other people hadn't or didn't get that kind of education at home, or not education, like life skills, like you said. And I remember, like, I was manager for a cinema down in Cork, and I asked a guy to clean some windows for me, And didn't he go and get toilet bleach, like squeeze it onto the
Oh,
cloth
my
and go
God.
around? And
Jeez.
it's a fishbowl cinema, so it's windows like this. And like, I don't know if you've ever seen like what happens to bleach when
Yeah.
you rub it on a window. Just like it goes
like,
opaque,
blurry.
and then
Yeah.
yeah, and he'd done all the windows, and I was like, oh wow, this the same guy had to teach how to use a Hoover. He was like 20 or 21, and I was like, how did you get this far? Without-
He never hoovered.
I've met so many people in my life like that.
Mm.
I mean, I lost my mother quite young, so I was kind of used to doing stuff around the house and, you know, dinners or washing or whatever. But I've met so many people in my life that wouldn't even know how to turn on a washing machine, and it's just shocking. And in Ireland, like, not to put it down or anything, because this is probably going to be me, let's be honest, there's such a culture of like mammy, do you know? Mammy does everything,
the mammy culture.
and it's gonna be so hard not to do it with Donica because he's so cute. I'm like, I'll do it for you, do you know?
Yeah.
But
He knows it as well.
yeah, he knows it. But at the same time, God, the life skills you like you can acquire from not being so for being more self-sufficient even.
Oh, it's really important. Absolutely. It's really important.
Well, it's great because it means that I can just like I live completely independently to my family, to anybody else, and like I suppose just from the point of view of being self-employed, it's good that I don't have to rely on anybody, if that makes sense. Like it's good to have kind of like to be out on the water by yourself, because it's difficult to be self-employed, but then you kind of know where you stand when you're not relying on. You know, and it's like, I'm not saying that I don't have reliable people in my life or reliable friends or family, but like just the fact that now that I was taught those things, I'm able to, like when I was 19, I packed my bags and I moved back to England by myself. And I just moved straight into a house, you know, with these people, happy days, you know. So yeah, good life skills to have, indeed.
Yeah, it's very brave.
Sum up.
Can you sum up what you do in 5 words?
Yeah, so I'd say colourful creator, colourful, supportive creator and maker. Is that 5 or 6? I can't. I'm trying to count in my head at the same
It doesn't
time.
matter.
Good, yeah.
Neither of us could do it when we were put on the spot by someone else. We've said it to a few people, so
Yeah. We were really useless.
We were terrible.
We didn't even get 1 or 2. We were really bad. Have you always been, because obviously you've touched upon, obviously you grew up kind of learning to do these things with your mum and stuff like that. So has creativity always been something that has been within you, or did you kind of pick it up just from watching your mum?
I think it's always been in me. Like I'm quite creative in lots of different ways, I think. And I do find like, and I think this is really important to kind of acknowledge, like my mental health suffers when I don't kind of explore my creative side. And it's something that I suppose like the last 3 years previous to setting up the business, or 4 years, I was in a relationship with somebody who maybe wasn't creative and didn't understand what it was like to be a creative. And it almost, because we were living together, caused me to kind of step back from the creative side of me for a few years. I went traveling instead. But yeah, no, like I think it's always been there. I think over the last number of years, I've definitely learned that I have to almost like feed my creative side in order to, you know, mind my mental health with it, which is really important. So yeah, and I draw inspiration from lots of different places when it comes to my creativity, like family, friends, the people who buy from me. I just think, you know, creativity is such like a fluid thing, isn't it? Like it's,
yeah.
you know, somebody might think they're being creative, you might not think it's creative. Like it's one of those things, kind of hard to put your finger on it, I think. Like,
Yeah, it's very subjective.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that's kind of run through this whole podcast, is we've kind of seen that everybody sort of needs to be creative in some way. It doesn't matter what it is, if it's like cooking the dinner or, you know, doing art or sewing or, you know, whatever it is, or like some form of exercise or something, I don't know, but, you know, have some sort of creativity to keep your mental health in check.
Yeah, and mental health actually has been something that's kind of come up a few times, that especially over the last year and a half, people have obviously been struggling, and having these outlets and stuff has really, really helped. It's helped a lot of people.
Even Instagram now, like people like making photos or reels is the new thing, but yeah. Because I suffer really badly with anxiety as well, and I know that if I'm just stagnant, like in the house, it's all starts kind of coming down, you know? Yeah.
Oh, and like, don't get me wrong, the last year has been so difficult. Like, I throw my mind back to maybe like this time last year, maybe the start of April, and like I was thinking the other day, I had a sofa bed upstairs in my house, and I just folded it out, threw the TV in front of it, and lived there for like 3 weeks, not moving, because my mental health just took a big crash that time. I think everybody's did.
Yeah.
Like the unknown, we didn't know what was happening. Being self-employed and making that decision to be self-employed has helped with that as well. Now, like it makes me, you know, the anxiety does creep in sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're lying in bed. You're like, oh my God, I haven't paid that invoice, or, you know, where am I going to get the money to pay this invoice, or whatever it is. But like, I don't know, I just feel like it gives my mind something to focus on, outside of anything else that I'm doing, and the fact that I benefit from it as well. I think that, you know, it's really nice.
Yeah. So, like, obviously you said your mum does the sewing and everything, but what drew you to sewing? Like, what made you want to kind of continue that?
I think one of the things was that it's almost a bit like a family tradition. Like my nan was a sewist as well, and recently somebody gave me a few meters of fabric that belonged to my nan. She passed away 10 years ago in November, and I don't know, it just sitting there looking at it, I was like, I really want to start getting back into sewing because I want to make something with her fabric.
Yeah.
And I think that would be part of it. It's one of these things that just, I can't imagine my life without sewing. Like, it was always there, no matter where I go. Even when I was traveling, people would say, oh, you know, can you repair my trousers for me because I split them, or this button popped off, or can you fix this shirt for me? It's just, I've always been doing little jobs here and there for people. Can you take these trousers up? Can you, whatever it is. So I don't think there's a clear part where like sewing and not sewing exist in my life. I'm trying to think, like, can I think of a point where, no, I don't think so. It's just because my mum's been doing it now for 35 years, maybe longer. So it's just always been there since before I was born, you know.
There's something really kind of nice about sewing as well. It's like really sort of therapeutic, that sort of motion with the sewing machine. I sound like an absolute loon now, but it's the same with painting, you know. It's like that sort of repetitive motion is really sort of soothing or something.
No, I do agree. I think one thing with sewing that people don't realize is like 50% of it is sewing, 50% of it is pinning, cutting, ironing, maybe even less, like maybe it's 25-75. Like, so what I try and do is I try and like make a pile of stuff that needs to be sewn, be it masks, be it aprons, be it scrunchies, and I keep building that pile, and then I'll just sit there for like 4 or 5 hours and just sew nonstop, listening to podcasts. But yeah, it's like, actually I put a reel up today which kind of shows, you know, cutting, pinning, adding Velcro, and sewing kind of features like in 2 parts of it, but the rest of it is like doing other bits and pieces. But yeah, there is something really therapeutic about it, and like I'd be lost as well. My mind needs to be occupied by several things at the same time, so that's why I have to like listen to something, or listen to an audiobook, or I'm listening to a true crime podcast or something, as well as doing these things. So I really enjoy that, actually. I really enjoy that part of my job.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to like have that little bit of freedom as well, to be able to do stuff like that and be your own boss and kind of, you know, decide that you can sit and listen to something while you're doing stuff, and just that kind of taking it to another level. So can you tell us a little bit about something you're currently working on?
I have a couple of different projects that I'm working on at the moment. Actually, I suppose this will be the next one that I'm fingers crossed hoping to launch. I was supposed to launch it earlier in the year, but just when you work one person by yourself, things just get pushed back and back. So I have a clothing line on my website. Now, that isn't stuff that I have made myself, but it's stuff I've designed myself. And last year I was kind of saying, I'd love to get other Irish artists involved because, well, it's hard to make work, or it's hard to make money if you're an artist, first of all, but also just with the current way things are, so many artists out of work. So I created, it's called, like, I suppose the working name is Artist Merch, and I have 5 artists throughout Ireland who have designed a piece of clothing to be part of this range. So I'm hoping to launch that in the next, like, 6 or 8 weeks. That'll be like t-shirts, hoodies, and sweaters. And yeah, like, it's so, like, I didn't give them much of a brief. I kind of said to everybody, look, I want you to bring what you think would sell as a jumper or as a t-shirt, but it has to be your piece of art. And I'm not going to tell you, no, I don't like that color, I don't like that shape, I don't like I didn't want to censor anybody. I'd just go with whatever they wanted. So I think I've all of the designs kind of collected now. I just need to get, like, samples printed and different bits and pieces. But I'm really, really happy with, like, just caliber of work, first of all, and the quality of it, and some really funny puns have come from it as well. So I'll be looking forward to launching that.
That's a
soon.
really cool idea.
Yeah, sounds amazing. Can't
really
wait
cool.
to see it.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea. It's really nice as well to get other people involved and
Collaborations.
like acknowledging the fact that it is difficult.
And I just think as well, like, whether it's supporting small artists, small businesses, small creators, small makers, we don't do enough of it in Ireland. We don't do enough of it anywhere, actually. And if there's somewhere where I can kind of spread the work or share the work with somebody, then I'm happy to do that, because seeing other people around me being successful, I don't know, I get a kick from it. I get a kick from somebody who's like, oh, I was really inspired by reading this, or by seeing what you did, or by you, asking me to do this, or whatever it is. So yeah, it's something that's always kind of like been part of my. I would have done a lot of social media work previous to this, from a marketing perspective, but it was always working with small artists or people who struggled or don't have a budget to go out and hire a social media manager. And the trade-off for that was I got to work in some really, really cool projects. Like, I got to work as Graham Norton's PA for a weekend.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Yeah, like, these opportunities kind of just, like, they read themselves, because I know Graham Norton he is probably a super celebrity in Ireland, but in saying that, the artist scene within Ireland is so small that everybody knows everybody, and it just so happens somebody's like, oh, Graham's coming to do this event next week, he needs a PA, can you look after him? And that was just from a connection from a small artist who was working down in Cork. And yeah, so, like, I just think it's one of those things that I'll always be doing, is working with small artists, small makers, and just watching loads of people be successful around me. I really get a kick from that. I really enjoy it.
That's really cool.
Really nice.
Yeah, it's a really nice approach to working as well. There's not enough people like that.
No.
Well, look, we all work by ourselves as well, because I know you're both artists as well, and it's really hard when it's just you. You don't have somebody to bounce an idea off, or chat about something, or hey, have a look at this, what do you think? I think that's something that I'm trying to promote online quite, or as much as I can. Like, there's plenty of work out there for everybody, and if we were all sharing with each other and helping each other, there's still going to be loads of work there for everybody. So, like, just encourage people to support other people. And I think as well, until you own your own business or work for yourself, or are relying on your own endeavors to make money, you don't realize how much you don't support small businesses, small artists, small makers. And I hear people say that quite a lot. Oh, I just set up my new business and I just realized, like, I'm using Amazon to buy this. And look, I'm not kicking it. We all need to use Amazon to order some stuff. We need to use the chains for price. Like, I do get it. But there's definitely more ways we could be supporting Irish businesses, particularly now with Brexit as well. It's so difficult to get stuff.
Oh, don't talk to me about Brexit.
So this is like, I don't know, I just see this as an opportunity for us to support Irish even more.
That's true, absolutely.
Everything you can buy in the UK, you can get here in Ireland. Yes, it might be a little bit more expensive, but, like, I would encourage anybody, like, ring the company, ring the business, say to them, like, I've got this idea, this is what I want to do, and I think, you know, I can get it for this much across the pond. Are you willing to work with me? Like, look, small businesses are people. They're not like ringing up Tesco and asking for a discount, because there's no policy there. So the person you're talking to is going to have no idea. Like, you're probably going to get through to the owner of that business, who might be struggling themselves that week, and be like, yeah, actually, do you know what? I'm really delighted to have that €50 sale. So I would encourage people to just contact each other and ask. Like, I'm forever like, oh, where'd you get these from? I know they're your supplier, but I need to know. To people I see online, you know. Some people will say no, and that's fair enough. But it's the people that are like, oh yeah, absolutely, I get them from here. I want to share that information with you. I'm like, I'm going to remember that, because, you know, that person's done me a solid. I'm going to help them out when I can in the future.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I mean, I'm constantly saying that the more we support each other, the more we further our reach and like stuff like that. But yeah, like I also, you know, you realize more kind of when you get into it yourself how much like we don't shop small and things like that. But I think Ireland are doing better at it anyway since the
this
pandemic.
year was phenomenal. Yeah, this year was absolutely phenomenal. So I started like my small biz shopping campaigns last, I think it was October, or even before that, maybe September. No, it was before my birthday, so it would have been in September. And I was like, I just remember screaming and shouting from every platform that I had, like, guys, we're going to have problems this Christmas supporting small if we don't start now. So it was like just building it into your everyday routine. You know, instead of buying your meat in Tesco, you go to the local butcher down the road, and then you start buying your veg from the veg man down the road. And, you know, like, all of those actions are supporting a small business. And a lot of the time it's cheaper. Like, a lot of the time it's not, but sometimes it is cheaper. It's mad.
Like, I've said it before as well, when I was younger, you used to go to the greengrocer and you used to go to the baker, and like now it's like you go to Tesco or you go to Dunn's, and like I'd much rather you went to Dunn's than Tesco, because Tesco are an international company, whereas Dunn's are actually Irish. But I love, like, I wish we all went back to like going to the baker, and like I love that old style of things. Like, my father in Kerry still gets his fish from the fish man with the fish van, and like gets his vegetables from the man on the side of the road, and like, do you know, all that stuff, and it's so cute.
Yeah, there has been a big
Definitely think we'll go back to that.
I think we'll have to. No,
Yeah.
I think for a more sustainable living, I think we'll have to. Like, I seen someone, sorry, we're kind of going off tangent now from small business, but I seen that they're doing a trial run in Asda, and I presume in the UK, with like bring your own Tupperware and then load up your Frosties or your cornflakes or whatever. Like, it's Kellogg's, but it's all like a sustainable.
They're not in boxes and stuff. They're in like dispensers. Yeah, there has definitely been a surge again, I think, in like artisan kind of bakeries and like kind of small businesses like that as well, which has been great. So people are now doing a lot more stuff like that.
And is it, like, honestly, it is cheaper. Like, particularly greengrocer, buying your bread and stuff. Well, bread maybe not, but if you're buying like really, really cheap bread in the supermarket. But like, I went down to the market here in Galway the other day, and I bought 6 eggs. I'm trying to think what I bought now. Like, it was 4 things I came home with. 6 eggs, some broccoli, a couple of spuds, and something else. And he charged me €2.50 for it. And I was like, are you sure? Mushrooms, that was the other thing. Big bag, and I came home with this huge bag of food for €2.50. And I went back to him the next week, and I just thought, oh, look, he's being, you know, but that's what he was charging for it. He was like, yeah, grand, €2.50, off you go. And he was delighted with that. So, yeah, I think that supporting small traders, business makers, whatever way you want to put it, anyone who's using their own business to support themselves, I just think that we need to keep it up now. So we've started the groundwork. When we come out of lockdown, when we come out of the restrictions, it's something that needs to be looked at, and we need to stay focused on supporting these businesses.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Definitely agree.
What would you do?
If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what do you think you'd be doing? Now, I know you said you'd find this very difficult, but do you have any ideas of something you might be doing if you weren't sewing? And
I worked in sales for the last 10 years, sales and marketing. And to be honest, I really enjoy that world. Like, I was the sales and marketing manager for a small tech company here in Galway up until maybe a year before the pandemic started. That was probably one of my favorite jobs I've ever done. Like, it was working for a small business that was growing. I was working with people, and I've done the personality test, and I'm 50-50 introverted, extroverted. But when I go to work, I'm able to turn on that switch and just be like, what are we doing? Like, how are we going to get this done? I really like that element of that kind of job, working with people and people management. So yeah, I'd probably be like people management, sales, marketing somewhere, but not as happy as I am now.
yeah, it's always good to have a fallback, I suppose. But obviously, like, this is your real passion and this is what you want to do. So
Yeah.
Highs and lows.
What would you say the highs and lows have been over the course of your business so far? Or we'll say learning curves rather than lows. We keep saying that. I don't know why we called it lows. But
Yeah, so I was trying to think of what things I would talk about on... This was the question, actually, where I was kind of looking at them. I was like, yeah, I think I might try and think something up for that. So the best thing that's happened since I've been in business is I did a collaboration with... her name is Grace Alice, sexuality educator. But because of Instagram's rules and algorithms, she's had to change her name to Ganes La Grace, which is sex with grace in Irish, I think. But we did a collaboration last year, it started off as scrunchies against period poverty, and has turned into scrunchies for sound people. But that was kind of like the foundation. So what we said is, for every scrunchie we sold, we were going to donate a box of feminine hygiene products to Homeless Period Ireland, and we ended up donating €500 worth of period products because it just took off. We sold out of, I think it's like 100 and something scrunchies in less than 4 or 5 hours. People just went bananas for them. And I don't know, there was something just really special about doing that, because Grace is my best friend. We work in completely different worlds, but to be able to combine both of our kind of audiences and work together on it, it was amazing. And I don't know, like, handing over 250 boxes of period products to the Simon community, there was just like a real not successful feeling, but like a real feel good feeling.
Yeah.
So I was able to walk away and be like, wow, that really took off. So what we've done since is we've kept it going, scrunchies for sound people, and we support a new charity each month, donating 20% of the profits to charity, because I suppose at the end of the day I still need to make money from doing this. I can't go and make 100 scrunchies every month, cover the postage and all that kind of stuff. So that would be kind of a high point for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. And also, like, in terms of getting people talking online, like, that was probably the most talked about post that I've put on my page. And that was like last October. So, people still message me about it today. And we're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, no, and I think as well, actually, and I hope you don't mind saying this, Shane, but like, as men, sometimes we can be a bit like turn a blind eye to like the normal things that every woman that we know is going through, which are periods. I think you might have seen this week, Lidl have made their period products free to women, which is, it's not the job of the corporations or the big businesses in this country to be ending period poverty, but fair play to them for taking such a strong stance on it. And it's just one of those things that we just need to keep talking about them. Like, 50% of the people on this planet have a period. So if we just need to stop freaking out about them, the end. And we just need to accept that, commodities such as tampons and towels are just as important as tissue paper,
Yeah. I've never really had an issue having to go and to buy them.
No, you're pretty good. Like, I don't know, your mother raised you right. I don't know, but I have been with other fellas that were like, I'm not touching that, like, I'm not picking that up or whatever. But
no, I've never. I think it's because I remember my mum telling me a story years ago that when she was younger, like, her dad would have gone and bought them for her, and would never have been embarrassed or ashamed to buy them. And I just think that stuck with me. Like, there was no reason to.
That would have been
so.
different times as well.
Yeah.
Because, like, your mother's, I won't say her age on here, but
She's a bit older.
yeah.
Well, I definitely get that, because I grew up in a house with just my mum as the only female influence in the house. The rest was, you know, my dad and 5 brothers. And it's just one of those things that, look, up until a few years ago, I was really ignorant about it. And I would say, like, inflammatory, jokey things, or almost like I dismiss women who would be saying, like, you know, particularly in a people management role. And this is, you know, I'm okay with saying I've made these mistakes because I've made them and I've learned from them. It's really important. But I have said, like, no, you've to come into work. Like, what are you talking about? Period pains. Like, you know, you've to come in, like, get up. But now I have a better understanding of well, and I don't have even a full understanding, but of just menstruators and you know, it's just one of those things that, like, you think back then and I'm like, oh my God, why did I say that? Oh, like, why did I say something so inflammatory to somebody?
I think we've all done that, though. Like, I think the last, say, 20 years have been a huge learning curve for people. Like, I was saying on a previous podcast that I watched a film that had come out in, like, not even the 90s, I think the noughties.
Yeah.
And some of the terms in it and the, like, derogatory language against like the LGBTQs, women, hormones, like everything it could have touched on. And I was like, I watched this back then and did not see any of this, and I'm watching it now and I'm like, what the absolute F.
And there's so many programs like that, be it from like, look, you expect it from 80s and 90s television and movies, and then, like you said, going into the noughties, you thought maybe we were a bit more woke, I think is the word they use. But, like, even today, and, you know, you could be splitting hairs about this, and I know a lot of people do feel that you need to call everybody out on absolutely everything you do. I don't believe that myself. Like, I always say that, you know, if you've some learning to do before you start talking about stuff, go and do the learning. Like, you know, one of the things, for example, when the BLM movement was happening, and, you know, I will put my hands up and say, like, I wasn't being actively anti-racist, but I went and did my homework. Instead of, you know, sharing a black square or talking about it, I had nothing of value to add to that conversation because I'm learning. I was at the beginning of my journey of anti-racism. But some people were kind of like, you know, Ollie, you've got 1,000 followers on Instagram. You should be talking about this. And I'm like, I don't think so. I'll talk about, you know, after 3 or 4 years of learning about, you know, period poverty, then I feel like I can add value to the conversation that's happening online. And if I can't, I'm going to sit and listen and learn. And I think we all could do a bit more learning on LGBT issues, women issues, race issues, whatever it is. We can all do a little bit more learning on it.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. And also, social media is terrible on so many levels for so many things. However, I think, like what you were saying, it has woke a lot of people up to things they might not have known about before. So
yeah, we've said that, haven't we, before, that you hear a lot more of the negative side of social media through the media, other media sources and stuff. But there is actually a huge positive to it as well. Like, it's helpful for a lot of people. It's marketing their businesses, and it is educating people. So I think it is important that it is actually positive as well as negative.
Particularly for the last year, tools like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat, whatever, so TikTok, all of them, it's allowed us to connect with other people at a time where we can't physically connect with people. And I think that is the good part of social media. You know, I could sit here and talk all day about the bad parts of social media. I had a great chat with, I don't know if you know, Muriel Foley from MGFD. So me and Muriel worked together for, like, Muriel would be a really good friend of mine. We did a really good chat on Instagram Live, if anybody wanted to go back and listen to it, about social media, minding your mind online, and kind of like trolling and things like that. So I won't go into it again, but it's just, you know, it is one of those things. Like, I've gone to sleep crying because some of the stuff that I've seen written on social media about me or about my friends. But also social media has given me the warm fuzzies where I lie in bed at night and I'm like, oh my God, my view just got 20,000, or my video got 20,000 views. Amazing. So once you're balancing it, I think that's the thing. It's really important to balance the good and bad.
That's actually how I first found you, I think. My mate Susan, shout out Susan, she sent me one of your lives and was like, check this guy out, he's great. And I was like, this is great. And then we were like talking about it.
I've never met Susan, but like, I don't know, I just get the lols from her page.
Oh, she's gas. She's gas.
Was it the reel she put up recently about just re-recording stuff, and I remember I must have watched it about 50 times. The bloopers, I was howling. I must have watched it about 50 times.
Well, we all do it, but she had the balls to put it up. Yeah.
What would you say then has been your biggest learning curve?
Oh, like everything. Even, I'd be quite competent at marketing, but small business marketing for yourself, finance, legal, operations, like all of the stuff I've done before, but when the weight lies entirely on your shoulders, it is like I was remembering there recently about when I was ordering packaging and stuff, and start off with like you start in small quantities, and might get 50 of this and 50 cards and 50 envelopes, and it used to stress me out. Like I'd be like, how am I going to figure out if I have enough packing bags, if I got enough packing tape? If I don't order it today, it won't be here till next week. And now it's unconscious. I could do it while walking to town, order my bits and pieces, and and I find that with a lot of stuff, it almost just becomes an unconscious habit of running a business. One thing that I'm really passionate about is for small businesses, do your books every month. Just do your bookkeeping, do your accounting, do it all every single month, because you will just feel a sense of relief, and you will know where you are as well. I think a lot of us can just go blindly into this and be like, oh yeah, well sure, I had 100 sales in the day, but you might have just made €5 from those 100 sales because you're not looking at your books. You're not looking to see, are you making money? Because essentially as a business, that's what your aim is. It's to make money if you're going to be successful.
Yeah, I saw your reel about receipts, and I was like, oh shite. I need to do that. Also, I recently got myself an accountant who I think you also might know. We won't mention her name because I don't know if you're supposed to shout about who your accountant is, but yes, you mentioned her, and I was like, yeah,
the accountant I use.
I think so.
No, look, I think that I've lost my train of thought, sorry.
You're okay. Doing your books should be done.
Yeah, just do your books. Honestly, look, it's just one of those things. Before Christmas as well, like I was nearly in tears again, because I was like, I don't know where I am. I've no receipts done. I don't know how much money I have in this business. I don't know how much money I can take out of this business. And the accountant I'm working with was like, this is what you're going to do. I'm sending you a worksheet. You're going to put in your expenses. You're going to put in when you're made, and we're going to just go from there. And honestly, like even the ability for me to push myself more, because I'm like, oh, that was a really successful month. And I made like €500 profit or €300 profit. Like, there's kind of like, my friend would say, there's a taste of more of that feeling of knowing where you are and being successful with it. Do your books. If you know where you are, you can pivot your company, you can pivot your business, you can pivot what you're doing to suit whatever's happening. I just think that's such important advice for small business.
That's really good advice.
Yeah, finance stresses me out so much. I'm so lucky that I have Shane, because Shane's way more financially minded than me, and I'm like, what do I do? I'm always panicking about it.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, it's just getting on top of it and just knowing where you are. Like, I'm a bit of an obsessive with statistics and with that kind of data side of things. And that's kind of what I would do a lot of my job and stuff like that. So I would agree, like, knowing where you are and being able to see where you can go is so invaluable. It's something you really, really need. and just not to stress yourself out just before tax year ends. Like, just that additional stress is just not necessary.
Yeah.
Well, what I do now on the first of every month, I block book either the morning or the afternoon, the whole day of the first, or the Monday, the first Monday of the first, whichever comes first. And it normally takes me half an hour, max 40 minutes to do my books. And I give myself the rest of that morning or afternoon off. That's my reward for going to do the thing that I hate the most. Because I absolutely despise it as well. Numbers is not my game. I've got dyslexia, which affects the numbers side a lot more than the letters. But when I just do those 40 minutes, I know at the end of them, like come October and I need to do my tax return and my VAT return, all I do is click submit to my accountant and it's done. Like I don't have to worry about chasing up receipts from a year ago, from 18 months ago, looking at a transaction on PayPal and being like, I have no idea what I bought. I have absolutely no idea what that was. And doing it for 12 months, going back 12 months, no, I like it's just too much for me.
I agree. It's too much stress, unnecessary stress.
We don't do stress.
How have you found actually getting your business out there?
I think I was quite lucky. I landed in, like, I would say, I've this group of people on Instagram who are small business owners in Ireland, and I kind of landed in the middle of them somehow, very, very quickly. And it's a very supportive community and network. Most people are supportive within it. Yeah, I've been kind of okay with it. I know a lot of people struggle to do it, but again, I'm able to turn on that extroverted personality, and my business relies heavily on if I don't go and like make a video or talk on stories, I don't get the sales. It's as simple as that. Again, it's the reason why I called the business Sew Olly when I renamed it, because I realized very quickly it was me behind the camera selling to people, you know, like I do in my normal job or whatever my normal job was before that inside a shop. So yeah, I've had a pretty easy ride with it. I am, though, for myself, and I'm not saying this is right for everybody, I'm just kind of a big believer of things will happen as they happen. So like being on a podcast has been one of my goals for 2021. It's like I wrote down these lists of aspirations for 2021 that I'd like to achieve. I knew that it was going to happen, but you know, the way I ended up coming onto this podcast was so natural and organic. Like somebody sent me a message and said, I think you'd be interested in this. I sent you a message and said, I'd love to do it. And then 2 weeks later, here we are. So I am a big believer in things just will happen as and when they happen for a reason, for me. And that works for me, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I would kind of be like that too. I try to stay very positive.
I'm not like that. I like to think I'm a realist. Rather than a pessimist. You'd say I was a pessimist. I don't think I'm a pessimist. I'd like to say I'm a realist, and we'll stick with that. But I kind of am struggling to get myself out there, and I worry about it all the time. I can't just be like, it'll be fine, you know, it'll happen when it'll happen. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? You know, like all my small business friends, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Tell me now, what can I do? You know, what can I do better? And I will bug the hell out of someone until they give me some kind of an answer.
What I say to people is, if you're making sales, you're being successful. That's what I always say to people. If you're selling even one thing on your website, you're being successful. And like, we could all obsess over the numbers, and we're all guilty of doing it. Like, I don't have 10k followers. I don't have this. I don't have that. I put up a post a couple of days ago. Like, in the last year, I've had over 7,000 people visit my website, and I don't even have 2,000 followers on Instagram. And that was just me kind of, and the post, I said, like, you know, the trick, what I find the trick is to be consistent, be authentic, and to celebrate the small wins. So when you get a sale, celebrate that. When you get a sale with 2 items on it, double celebrate. You know, when you sell out of something, celebrate it. When you see that 100 people have liked a post, celebrate that. Like, no matter what it is, celebrate every single little win, and the rest kind of just follows, you know?
Yeah, I think it will all work out. I just there's like a lot of, I said this on one of the other podcasts as well, a lot of people give up so quickly because they don't get the instant results they want, and you just have to pursue, you have to persist. Like, it's your passion, it's the thing you want to do. Like, ultimately, if you continue doing it as you are, and you know you're passionate about it, it'll work out. People will come aboard.
Yeah, because I'm not actually making any sales at the moment. I don't think I've sold. Oh no, I sold one in February.
Yeah.
But I hadn't sold anything before then since November. Now, I will say that art is very different to other things, because obviously it's a one-time big blowout cost for someone. Do you know, it's not
so
like...
funny, because I think exactly the same as what you're saying. Like, I was only thinking about this earlier. Like, if you're buying a piece of art, it's not usually going to be a return customer. It's not usually, you know, like, it is a very different market that you're marketing to. But also, you know, next month could be the month that you sell 10 prints. You know, next month could be the month that you sell 20.
Yeah.
And it will happen one day, and it'll kind of take you by surprise a little bit. And you'll just, and when you look back, you'll be like, you know, why did I even worry about it then? Because
I know,
like, all this was coming.
The reason I keep going at the moment is because I would do it anyway, if you know what I mean. Like, I love art, and I'm at home with Donica anyway. When he's gone to bed, what else would I be doing? I'd be doing art anyway. So I may as well keep chugging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know?
That's it. Like, you don't just do it because you want to make money.
No.
It's your passion. It's what you like to do. So the money is just a secondary thing.
I had a very good job that I made money from, and if I was in it for the money, I could have gone back to my job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's the thing as well. Like, I probably could be making a lot more money if I went and got a marketing job for, you know, any of the businesses that are hiring marketing people at the moment. But I'm happier having less money but working for myself.
Yeah,
and that's what I just keep saying to myself. When I wake up in the morning and I'm in control of my day and my time and what I'm going to do, then I'm like, well, nothing else matters once I can pay the rent at the end of the month.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So what advice would you give to other people wanting to start a creative business?
I think the advice I just gave you there: be consistent, be authentic, and celebrate the small wins. You know, I can't stress that enough. The consistency is the important part. People, and I think Shane touched on that a minute ago, people give up quite easily. And sometimes it can take a month, sometimes it can take 3 months, sometimes it can take 6 months. I think a really good example of that is the eye masks that I'm making. Like, sales weren't going great for them. And then a small retailer, online retailer, contacted me. It's like, we want to stock your masks. By the end of that day, I'd sold 50 of them. So, you know, but that was from consistently reaching out to different places, different people. So yeah, be consistent, be authentically you, because people will see through, like, if you're pretending to be somebody else. Like, people will see through that and celebrate the small wins.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Really good.
I totally think the authenticity thing is a huge thing as well, because I follow people because I like them, or, you know, it's not always about the products, it's about the person, and I can tell in a minute when someone is not being their self, or if they've maybe taken too much, like, influence from someone else. We'll say, that's the nicest way I can put that. And I think it really comes through if you're not being yourself.
I think that's been one of the key driving forces for the whole kind of Shop Irish movement and the whole supporting small businesses, is people can see the authenticity in people and the small businesses, and that's why they're shopping with them. They're not shopping just because they're around the corner. They have a personal connection to that person or to that business, and that's what's driving them forward.
It's human nature, isn't it, to be like, oh, I like that person, and then you sort of grow to like their product because of them.
Yeah, like
as you're saying about people, you know, buying from you because it's you and not your business. I know a lot of my business comes from people buying from me. Not necessarily because they want one of my products, but they're buying from me. Like, I'm not the only person selling masks. I'm not the only person selling eye masks. I'm not the only person selling scrunchies, or the only person in Ireland selling aprons. But people buy them from me because, you know, I go and put myself out there. And it is so scary the first few times that you make a reel, that you talk on camera, that you do a video, or you do an Instagram live, or any of those things. It's scary, but I see the direct link between me doing that and my sales. Like, I've had a really, really quiet week because I haven't really been on stories chatting or like interacting with people because I had the sore tooth. So it's been a really, really quiet week in terms of sales. So yeah, I think that the being authentic thing, and I am, like, when I go to talk to my friends online or my followers online, I'm me. I just say, look, I can't do this because my tooth, I can't talk to you today because I have a sore tooth. I don't feel well. My mental health is in a bad place. Whatever it is. People do buy into that. You know, I'm not buying into it. People do appreciate that. The truth, you know. You just know what's going on.
Well, and for a small business, as we were saying, like, realistically, you are everything that encompasses that business. So if you can sell yourself, the rest will follow.
Yeah.
Like, you are...
You're trying to do a bit more stories and stuff at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I try. Yeah, see, I'm not very good at putting my stuff out there at all. And I tried to do a couple of stories, and it just felt very awkward, and I kind of haven't gone back, but I have to.
I think the more you do it, the more you get used to it, kind of.
But this is a really good place now. The more you do it, the more you get used to it, 100%. This is a place to celebrate the small wins. So say to yourself, I'm going to do 5 stories on Instagram talking to the camera this week, or I'm going to do 4, or I'm going to do 2. And when you do it, celebrate that as a win. That was something that was on your to-do list. It's something that you felt uncomfortable with and isn't quite right, but you did it. And then give yourself that pat on the back, and then you're like, yes, I did it. Next time will be easier. You know, when I say celebrate the small wins, that's what I mean. You know, you do, like, just selling something or getting a customer isn't the only way to win in business.
No. Yeah, no, I think I'll get there.
You will. You just have to keep going. Don't give up.
No.
Because you always do one, and then you're like, you don't go back to it for like a month or 2, and then you've lost that confidence that you had, and then you have to start over.
You lose traction as well, obviously, because people, if they're going to buy it, they want to see you kind of consistently, as you said. So if you just appear once every like 3 weeks, people just aren't interested. You have to be consistent. So yeah, I'll get there.
Yeah, and post about it everywhere. If you have something new or a new product, or post about it in your stories, in the feed, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on your own Facebook. I'm a big fan of this. The amount of people that will see it is marginal from your followers list. So you need to really, and we might think it's like spamming because we're seeing like every avenue that we're pushing this content out from. We're like, oh my God, I'm putting this everywhere. Like, it's not spam because people won't see it. That's the way social media is built. Like 10% of your followers are going to see max whatever it is you post. So just keep it, like, keep the content coming, keep pumping it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally.
Share the spotlight.
So, are there other people, other small businesses, or, you know, people that you've worked with, or that you'd like to give a shout out
So
to?
there's a few. I kind of have a rule with this when I'm asking people to shout out small businesses, that I ask them to tell me like the last 3 businesses they've bought from. Because like there's literally hundreds of people I could shout out here. So I'm going to give you the last 3 that I've bought from, plus some of my suppliers. So some of the people that sell my stock. So the last one I bought from was this morning, was the Sewing Shed by Nikki. So my mum's business. I buy all my fabric there. But also I spend, and don't judge me, but I spent €70 on candles with Kaliak candles yesterday. Because she was doing a live sale and I wanted it all. I'm a massive super fan of Nola Kaliak candles. She makes like folklore inspired mythical candles, and they are amazing. And then they're I don't know, they're just, and they're soy wax as well, so they're a bit more eco-friendly, and I just love them. So yeah, Calia Candles. And then so one of the suppliers, they sell my eye masks. I really love their business model. Is boxable.ie. They're like self-care packages, or gifting boxes. And then I've already mentioned her, but Muriel Foley, MGFD. Like, I don't know, I think of Muriel almost as a little bit like my mentor. Like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years ago now, I can't remember, 2013-ish, she got me my first job in marketing. And just since then, like, Muriel's been a real constant in my peripheral with anything business or work related. But Muriel runs really fantastic workshops for businesses who are just starting out, for TikTok, for Instagram, and for just using Facebook Ads Manager, Instagram ads and those things. So I definitely check out her academy and check out her content on Instagram as well. It's Muriel Foley MGFD.
Yes, I'd highly recommend.
Yeah, Muriel knows, I'm not going to say everything, but Muriel knows like quite a lot about digital and social media. I suppose there's a reason why she's lecturing the master students in, it's MTU now, I think it's called. It's not CIG anymore, it's MTU. And it's because she knows her stuff. So yeah, definitely highly recommend.
Cool.
Perfect.
Okay, well, why don't you tell us there where people can find your products?
Yes, you can find me on my website, so sewolly.ie, www.sewolly, or you can get me on any of the social platforms. It's Sew_Olly. And I had to use the underscore because I don't want people calling me C Wally. And yeah, you'll see me doing my thing mostly on Instagram, is kind of where I live. So yeah, come check me out.
Yeah,
definitely.
Thank you so much for finishing off season 1 of the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for having me on. And you know, I really appreciate it. And I'll be going to celebrate this little win now with a nice beer for myself after this, because
Thanks.
just ticked something off my list for 2021. I'm delighted.
Yay.
I'm glad we could help with that.
Yeah. It was so lovely to chat to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to the I-Endeavour podcast.
You can find us on YouTube or your favourite podcasting app, or on Instagram.
And if you're a creator or a small business that would like to take part in Series 2, email podcast@idyllicendeavour.com.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to make sure you see all future episodes.